Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski. I have a company called Condo Vultures. Condo Vultures is a consultancy where we track data, we use data, try to analyze and understand what's going on in the condo market. And the separate business we have is a brokerage. It's a buy-side brokerage that primarily looks for deals for buyers. And we use the data that we track over on the consultancy side. Tuning into this podcast, you're probably looking for our latest condo market report, where we check out the velocity, what's going on in various condo markets in and around the tri-county South Florida area. For this particular podcast, we're going to be focusing on Miami Beach. Miami Beach is that community located on a barrier island, separated by the Atlantic on the east, Biscayne Bay on the west, and ultimately, if you go over a 5-mile causeway from South Beach, you'll get into the greater downtown Miami area. For this particular podcast, we're going to be looking at condos. We will look at luxury condos. We will then look at the distressed condo market, and finally, we're going to look at the rental market. If you want to watch this podcast, go to any platform that provides video podcasts, such as Spotify. If you want to watch us on YouTube, you can look us up with the handle Condo Vultures TV. We'll get to some of the details. We'll give you some trends. We'll give you some indicators as to what to watch for and how to assess the marketplace. And most importantly, give you some great intel in terms of what you can look for if you're out there in the market trying to purchase a condo at this moment in time. Now, a couple of rules of engagement to kind of keep in mind before we get going, and this will apply to all of the information that we're going to provide. Our data is coming from the Multiple Listing Service. Multiple Listing Service is a database. It is effectively an amenity that people with real estate licenses who join a club called a Realtor Association, what they primarily get in return is going to be this Multiple Listing Service. Now, Multiple Listing Service is where realtors can go ahead and they can post properties that are for sale. And more importantly, realtors who are working with buyers, they can use this information to go ahead and find properties that might be on the market. Who are some of the groups or entities that ultimately use the MLS, but sort of add their own secret sauce to it? Groups such as Zillow. A professor told me, a professor down here at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida, which is in Palm Beach, suggested to me that plus or north of 80% of all the properties listed in Zillow are primarily coming from the MLS. So is the MLS, is it all of the properties that are going on the market as well as trading in South Florida? The answer is no. These are properties where a commission is going to be paid. So in order to get a property into the Multiple Listing Service, a commission has to be paid. That is one of the requirements to put a property in. So therefore, any properties that are listed for sale by owner, or any of the groups that might put a sign on the side of the highway that say, we buy ugly houses, that stuff is not going to be in the Multiple Listing Service. So keep that in mind. MLS is a suggestion or an idea of many of the properties that are on the market today. That's a real simple way to track the market, but it's not all of the properties that are on the market today. Another aspect to keep in mind when you're thinking about the Multiple Listing Service, this commission aspect also applies to the rental market. Now, why is the rental market important? Well, many groups, primarily real estate investment trusts or corporations, they will turn around, they will build or buy a 100, 200, 300, 400 unit building. But when they buy this particular building, they're not going to want to pay a commission, which generally speaking in the rental market in South Florida is going to come out to about 10% of the gross annual rent. Well, that entity that owns 300 units, they're not going to want to pay a commission on all 300 units every single year. So what they typically do is they go ahead and they hire a leasing person or two. They put them in a leasing office, and these leasing people go ahead and handle all of the leases. And these leasing people are making, 30, 40, 50, 60 grand. Therefore, the money spent on these leasing agents is going to be much less than the commissions would be paid if these properties were listed in the MLS. So what does that mean? That means if you're driving past a building and you see a large sign that says for rent and it lists a telephone number, or if you're driving down the street and you see a guy flipping a sign saying, for lease, come on in, chances are those are individually owned, and that could be an individual and or a corporation. But these are properties where commission is not going to be paid, and therefore they will not be reflected in the MLS. So again, rental market does not reflect all of the properties that are on the market based on the MLS. It's just going to be a fraction of it. So keep in mind when you hear about rental data, what's going on in the rental market, chances are that information is going to be real sketchy. I wouldn't put a lot of confidence in it. It's more so a telltale sign of what might be going on, but it's not by any means all complete. And what's one reason that it's not complete besides the commission aspect being offered? Well, you can't, or you're not required to file any kind of government document that which should be available to the public. When a property trades or is sold or purchased, there's going to be a deed recorded, and that deed that's recorded. Anybody and everybody can check it out through the clerk of the court's office to figure out what the real price is, and then taxes are paid against it. When a lease is signed, there is no document recorded with the county or the government, and there's no taxes paid on that per se directly to the government related to a particular lease. So therefore, there's no way to really get a good understanding as to what the rental information may be. A couple of tidbits before we shut down this intro and then get into our first segment, which will be strictly on condos. If you are listening to this podcast and you want to watch it, again, feel free to go to any platform that provides for video podcasting, such as Spotify, or go to YouTube. Our handle is Condo Vultures TV. Another point to keep in mind is if you have any questions for us or any comments, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com. That's INQUIRY @condovultures.com. Another tidbit, all the information we're tracking is going to be January through September of 2022, first 3 quarters of the year. Later this month in February, we're going to go ahead and we'll come out with the final numbers. We don't like to come out with final numbers as soon as a quarter ends, simply because realtors enter information, or designated people for realtors enter information in this MLS or this database for realtors. And sometimes there's a lag time. So we're trying to be in an attempt to try to be complete. We typically give it 4 to 5, maybe 6 weeks before we start to get in the data, just to make sure everything is sort of worked its way through the system. So we're going to take a short commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into what's going on in the condo market in Miami Beach.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to condovultures.com for more information. condovultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. This particular podcast, we will be discussing, or this segment, I should say, we will be discussing what's going on in Miami Beach. Miami Beach is a community, it's a municipality that's located on the barrier island, which the boundaries of Miami Beach basically go from South Point Drive, which is 0, all the way up north to about 87. And on the eastern side is going to be the Atlantic Ocean, and on the western side is ultimately going to be Biscayne Bay. Now, in Miami Beach, there's 3 different sections, if you will. There's going to be South Beach, there's going to be Middle Beach, and there'll be North Beach. We like to rely on physical boundaries in terms of some sort of landmark to designate one neighborhood from another. South Beach will go from South Point Drive, which is 0, or Smith & Woodland Ski Restaurant, or South Point Park. It'll go all the way north to the Causeway at 41st Street. Then Middle Beach will go from the Causeway at 41st Street up to the Causeway at 63rd Street. That'll be Middle Beach. And then North Beach will be 63rd Street, all the way north to roughly the Surfside boundary, which is about 87 or so. So now let's get into the numbers. Currently in Miami Beach, there's just under 1,300 condos available for sale, 1,300 condos. The average asking price for one of these condos is just under $1.7 million, $1.7 million. And these condos on a price per square foot basis, they're coming in at $1,053 per square foot. $1,053 per square foot is what the asking price is for these condos. Now, keep in mind, many people will talk about a condominium. They're going to talk about what is the unit trading for? What is the place selling for? That's a bad approach when you're getting into condos. When you get into condos, I want you to focus on price per square foot only, exclusively. And why is that? Well, a condo primarily is a commodity versus a house, which is going to be more so a work of art. And what do I mean by that? Well, generally speaking, when you get into a condo building and you look at various lines, that would be like an O1 line, an O2 line, an O3 line, an O4 line, yada, yada, yada. All of the units are going to effectively have the same layout. The only differences might be up in the higher floors, there could be taller ceilings, but generally speaking, the views are all the same. The layouts are all the same. It's just a matter of height. And the way developers adjust for height, they typically will add five, maybe 15,000, maybe five, 10, $15,000 premium as you go higher or as you go lower in a particular building. But generally speaking, all of the layouts are going to be the same. Some people who own condos, they will turn around and they will over improve these condos, thinking they're going to get their money back. Generally speaking, in a stable market, they don't get their money back. Ultimately, these condos trade as commodities the same way gasoline trades at a justified price. For instance, if you pull up to an intersection, there's 3 or 4 gas stations at that intersection. Unless you have some sort of allegiance to a particular company or get some sort of rewards points, just so you're probably going to go for the gas station that has the cheapest price per gallon to pump in your car. Well, think of condos the same way. When you get into a building, generally speaking, everything should be based on a price per square foot basis rather than what you would find on a price per unit or a price per door basis. Now, when we get into single family houses, big difference. The location of that particular house in the community, what the shape of the property is. Does it flood? Does it not flood? What's the access to a school? What's the access to some sort of religious institution? How many floors does that particular house have? Remember, a condo, they tend to all be the same size and the same layout versus a house. Anything and everything could sort of be different. So house is a work of art and a condo is a commodity. Therefore, price per square foot is all you should rely on. And in Miami Beach, the condos that are for sale, as mentioned, the average asking price, $1,053 a square foot, $1,053 a square foot. And days on market, the condos that are in for sale in Miami Beach, they've been there an average of 137 days and counting, 137 and counting. Pending sales, how many condos are currently pending under contract right now in Miami Beach from the time somebody listed a property for sale to the time it went under contract and ultimately before it's closing? 172 condos in Miami Beach are pending. 172, the average asking price for those condos that are pending was coming in at just under $1.5 million. $1.5 million, price per square foot, $820 a square foot, $820 a square foot, and days on market, 91 days. So those condos that are under contract, they've been on the market and they pending is under being under contract for only 91 days. Now, in terms of units that traded, first 9 months of 2022, again, first 3 quarters will be coming out the year-end data later this month. 2,625 condos traded Miami Beach in the first 9 months of the year. 2,625 average transaction price, just about $1 million a door, $1 million a door. Price per square foot basis, $708 a foot, $708 a foot. And then days on market for these condos that they were put on the market, they went pending. Ultimately, they transacted or traded. They traded in 96 days, 96 days. Now, let's give you some perspective as to what all these numbers mean. Well, generally speaking, when you're looking at condos and you're trying to figure out the real estate market, you look at the average asking price and then you look at what are units trading for in general. And when you get a difference of about 20%, that tends to be the fact or the best case scenario that the seller is looking for if it is a competitive market, if it is a commodity. Now, there could be some certain examples where things are unique and they're different, but generally speaking, that's what you look for. You're looking for about 20% spread. And what we found over the years is when that spread, that asking price compared to the average transaction price gets squeezed to somewhere 8, 12, 15% difference, you tend to get a deal trading. So it's important to look at this number to get a sense of how optimistic are sellers or landlords. So what we got going on right now in terms of the average asking price for a condo in Miami Beach, again, coming under just under 1.7 million, but the units that traded, they traded for about $1 million. We got about a 66% spread, 66% spread. Again, 20% is ideally what you're looking for to get some activity. And typically 8 to 12, maybe 15% is when a unit trades. So this suggests to me that sellers are extremely optimistic and buyers are not necessarily moving on them. Now, what do we got price per square foot? Remember, that's much more important. Average asking price, as mentioned, $1,053 a square foot. Average transaction price, $708 a foot, $708 a foot. That's coming into 49% difference, 49% difference. So you can see again, on a price per square foot basis, sellers are asking a hell of a lot more than what the average transaction price is in the market. That suggests some sort of optimism. Maybe it has to do with the fact that we are in the peak of the winter buying season, which typically runs from late November until mid to late April. It's connected to, or it's related to religious holidays such as Easter as well as Passover. So maybe there's some optimism there. And then finally, days on the market, those condos that are on the market today, they've been there an average of 137 days. However, the units that were appropriately priced, they traded in only 96 days. So they put on the market, they went under contract, and they were traded in 96 versus what you got for sale today, sitting there 137 days and languishing there. Now, in terms of velocity or pace of sales in Miami Beach, 292 condos traded per month in the first 9 months of the year. How did I come up with that? Well, I took the number of total sales, which was 2625 divided by 9, came up with that total of roughly 292 units trading per month. Now, if I take the 292 that trades per month, the sales pace, I divided on what's in the market, which is 1265. I'm going to come up with about 4.3 months of supply, 4.3 months of supply. Now, what does 4.3 months of supply mean? It means it is a seller's market in Miami Beach right now. How do you determine a seller's market from a buyer's market? Well, equilibrium is 6 months. When there's 6 months of supply, the rule of thumb is that the market is in equilibrium. If there's less than 6 months of supply, there's nothing to choose for, and therefore it is a seller's market. If there's more than 6 months, then it is a buyer's market. So looking at the data today, it looks as if Miami Beach is in a seller's market. We'll see how it plays out going forward, but right now, seller's market, Miami Beach. That's where you have high premiums in terms of average asking prices versus what units are actually trading for. We're going to take a commercial break. On the other side of the break, we're going to get the luxury condos in Miami Beach. This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with cvrrealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, cvrrealty.com. Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. This particular segment of the podcast, we're going to talk about luxury condos in Miami Beach. Now, if you come to Miami and you're not from here and maybe you're visiting the first time, or maybe you've been coming here for a longer time, there's a word you're going to hear quite a lot of, and it's not humidity, it's not heat, it's luxury. In this town, especially in industry such as real estate, where people make money off of what they sell, therefore, the higher the price, the more money in their pocket. Luxury, the term luxury is thrown around over and over and over again. So luxury this, luxury that, who knows? It could be a shed. And if it has nice architectural designs, or might be deemed luxury. So don't be surprised to hear luxury thrown around. So in terms of trying to run statistics and trying to get a sense of what's going on in the market and trying to figure out what exactly luxury is, we came up with an arbitrary number to determine luxury from product that is not luxury or standard. And what number do we use? We use $1 million. $1 million or more, we deem it luxurious. Something listed for $999,999, we will not determine it to be luxurious. So that's our divider, $1 million. If it's higher than 1 million or above 1 million, it's luxury. If it's under $1 million, it is not luxury. So all the statistics we're going to refer to here, they're going to be based on listings of $1 million or more. So what do we got going on in Miami Beach? Currently, 423 condos that are luxurious are listed for sale in Miami Beach, 423. The average asking price per door for one of these luxury condos, $4 million a door, $4 million a door. But again, price per square foot is really sort of where to look. Average asking price per square foot for one of these luxury condos, $1,835 a foot, $1,835 per square foot. And the days on the market for those luxury condos that are on the market, they've been sitting there 151 days and counting. Now, in terms of pending sales, these are the properties that were listed for sale and now are under contract. So they are deemed to be pending. Currently, 37 luxury condos are pending in Miami Beach with an average asking price when they went pending of just under $5.4 million a door, $5.4 million a door on a price per square foot basis, $1,977 a foot, $1,977 a foot. And those pendings, again, they were listed for sale. They went under contract. They're waiting to close. They've been there an average of 143 days, 143 days. And finally, those condos that traded in the first 9 months of 2022 in Miami Beach that are luxurious, 537 traded, 537. They traded an average price, $3.3 million a door, $3.3 million a door on a price per square foot basis, $1,481 a foot, $1,481 a foot. In terms of days on market, from the time they were listed for sale, they went pending and they ultimately closed, 111 days, 111 days. Interesting. The properties that were priced appropriately, they traded in 111 days. The properties that are on the market today that are luxurious, they're there 151 days and counting. So you can see there's a little bit of a disconnect between the average asking price and what the buyers apparently are willing to pay. Now, what is the spread between the average asking price and the average transaction price in the building? keeping in mind that 20% is typically when you'll see some interest, and 8 to 12, maybe 18, 15%, 8 to 15% is when a deal gets done. Well, the luxury condos on a per door basis, they got about a 22% spread. So that's close to trying to generate some activity. That's real close to generating some activity. And price per square foot basis, average ask is $1,835 a foot. Average transaction, $1,481 a foot, comes in at 24% spread. So you can see, again, properties are being priced close to possibly going into or generating some action or some activity. That would suggest that the luxury condo market is not as optimistic as what you would see in the overall condo market, where the spreads were double and triple what you're seeing in terms of the luxury condo market. And then finally, days on market, as mentioned, 151 days is the average number of days that the luxury condos have been there and are languishing on the market versus those that traded in 111 days. Now, how many luxury condos are trading per month in the first 9 months of the year? Coming at just under 60 luxury condos traded per month, first 9 months of the year in Miami Beach. If I take the 60 condos that are trading per month, divided on what's for sale in terms of luxury, 423, I'm going to come up with 7.1 months of supply. Again, equilibrium is going to come in at 6 months. So anything less than 6 months means it's the seller's market. Anything more, however, is a buyer's market. So based on the traditional understanding of what the supply is in the condo market in Miami Beach, you're going to see that this is becoming a buyer's market for luxury condos, buyer's market based on 7.1 months of supply. Now, some of our luxury brokers who are out there, they're probably going to push back and say, well, listen, when you're dealing with $1 million or more, these people have more money they got, and therefore they don't need to sell. They can sit back and wait for the price that they want. So if we just assume that these luxury brokers are correct, we would have to go with the rationale that a luxury unit or the amount of supply for a luxury unit should be 12 months of supply or maybe even 18 months of supply. Luxury brokers always say, well, a luxury condo doesn't trade 6 months. It needs 12 months. It needs 18 months to really sort of transact because of the premiums that are being sought. So based on that, if you are going with what the luxury brokers say, remember, they are on the sell side trying to get the highest and best price. They're going to tell you 12 to 18 months of supply is what is equilibrium. And with 7.1 months supply of luxury condos being on the market today, that would suggest it is a seller's market. But if you go with the traditional rule of thumb, which is 6 months of supply, 7.1 months of supply of Miami Beach product, which suggests this is a buyer's market for luxury condos in Miami Beach. We're going to take a short break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the distressed market in Miami Beach.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are an institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to Peter@condovultures.com. That's Peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. In the first segment, we discussed condos. Second segment, we discussed luxury condos. This segment, we're going to discuss distressed condos. Now, what is a distressed condo in terms of listed in the multiple listing service, which again is where we're getting all our data from? There's basically two of them. There's the front end of the distress, which is called a short sale. And there's the back end of the distress, which is called an REO, a real estate owned is what it stands for, or a bank owned, or a foreclosure. So REO, real estate owned, bank owned, foreclosure, it's all one in the same. Now, what is the difference and how does it work? Well, a short sale will be a situation where a seller who has a loan wants to sell the property or needs to sell the property, but realizes that the price that will be achieved in selling the property will not cover the loan amount. Forget how much the seller has invested in the property. This resale price will not cover the loan amount, or the seller will come up short of repaying the lender. So that's simply what it is. Now, why would a bank accept less than ultimately was provided in financing for a particular building? Simple. Sometimes lenders decide to go the short sale route because they want to avoid the foreclosure process, which can take 9 to 12 months or so. You can cost thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for the overall process. And it can include some borrowers, some sellers who were basically in that property, not paying a dime, maybe damaging the property, maybe stripping it of materials, piping, a variety of different things. We saw a lot of that during the Great Recession. Sometimes lenders would simply say, okay, let's short sell it. Let's let that borrower go. And this way we're going to get the property back. We're not going to have to invest money in order to turn around and resell it once it comes out on the other side after a foreclosure process. And by the way, it takes 9 to 12 months or so to go through on a foreclosure process, depending on whether or not the property is a primary residence, which is deemed a homestead. Now, the secondary aspect of distress is going to be called REO, real estate owned, bank owned, or foreclosure. Again, all one and the same. Now, what is that? That is a property where ultimately the lender was able to go to the court, use the court process to take the keys and the deed of a property from a borrower and an owner. So the bank has gone through the process. They've cleaned everything up. The title has been cleaned. And lo and behold, on the other side of the foreclosure, the bank has the property. Now they're going to try to sell it. So that is an REO, a foreclosure, a real estate owned or a bank owned, all one and the same. So that's the way it breaks down. And what we're going to look at for this segment, we're going to look at the distress. So I'll give you the overall numbers, and then I'm going to get into short sales first, and then I will get into REO or bank owned. So overall in the distress market in Miami Beach, there are 3 condos that are for sale that are deemed distressed, 3 condos. How many are pending? 6 pending sales of distress in Miami Beach. And then ultimately on the sales side, there's been 23 distressed condos that have traded Miami Beach first 9 months of the year, 23. So if I take the 23 units that traded in the first 9 months of the year, I divide that, I'm going to come up with roughly 2.6 distressed condos trading per month in Miami Beach, first 9 months of the year. Now, if I take the 2.6 sales velocity pace, I divide that what's on the market today, which is 3, I'm going to come up with 1.2 months of supply, 1.2 months of supply, which again, 6 months is equilibrium. So this suggests it is a seller's market for distressed properties in Miami Beach, which is not to be a surprise. Why? Because especially if a bank forecloses the property, they're the ones who are going to decide how and when they're going to sell the property. And anyone who's trying to sell a bunch of product does not want to flood the market with more and more type of product. Typically, they will sit back and they will wait and sell the product slowly so they can sort of bolster pricing. So a seller's market in distress, that's not much of a surprise, generally speaking. Now, let's break it down into the short sales, and then we'll get into the real estate owned or the REO aspect of distress. Now, on the short sale side, we only have 1 short sale condo available on the market in Miami Beach today, only 1. It's asking price $250,000 per door, $250,000 per door on a price per square foot basis, $217 a foot, $217 a foot. You can see that's very interesting based on what we were saying for regular condos, luxury condos, what they were trying for. You get somebody trying to sell a property as a short sale, a condo in Miami Beach. They only want $217 a foot, which is going to be a fraction of what condos traded for in Miami Beach first 9 months of the year. Now, that one condo that's a short sale, it's been on the market 83 days. Now, pending sales, we have 1 short sale that is pending, 1 short sale that's pending. It was under contract at $210,000 a door, $210,000 a door. And a price per square foot basis, the asking price was $302 a foot. And then finally, days on market, that short sale's been in the process for 241 days. So if you are patient and you were chasing the short sale game and you could ride it out 241 days and counting, this might be an opportunity or a way to kind of approach buying a property at a really attractive price. Might not be everything you want, but if price is important, this is a very interesting way to sort of approach it. In terms of transactions of short sales, first 9 months of the year in Miami Beach, we had three. They traded an average of $267,000, $100,000 per door. $267,100 per door. Average transaction price, $311 a foot. Again, a fraction of what the average transaction price is in Miami Beach for a condo, as well as the average asking price for a condo in Miami Beach. And then finally, days on market. Well, those 3 short sales they traded in 61 days. Now let's talk about the spread between the average asking price and the average transaction price. Since there's only 1 condo that's for sale, it's not going to be an average. It's going to be what we have to deal with. But the ask is $250,000, where the average transaction price first 9 months of the year was $267,000. So you can see from this, it's roughly about 6% below what the average short sale traded for Miami Beach in the first 9 months of the year. Now, what is that on a price per foot basis? Well, the asking price for a short sale was $217 a foot, $217 a foot. However, the three that traded, they traded for $311 a foot. So if you go after this short sale in Miami Beach, you're looking at a price that's 30% below what short sales traded for in the first 9 months of the year. Interesting. Maybe something to consider if you're in the market for that. And then finally, days on market. That short sale that's on the market's been there 83 days. The units that traded, they traded in only 61 days, 61 days. So, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Now, how many short sales traded per month in the first 9 months of the year? Well, it comes out to about 0.3 units per month, 0.3 units per month. How do I get that? Well, I come up with the 3 units that traded. I divide it by 9 months. I'm going to come up with that 0.3. And now if I look at supply, the 0.3 units that trade per month, the short sales, I divided that into what's currently in the market, which is 1. I'm going to come up with 3 months of supply, 3 months of supply. So this is the seller's market for short sales in Miami Beach. Let's go ahead and transition over to the real estate owned side of the distressed market in Miami Beach. Again, the real estate owned is once a property has gone through a foreclosure process, which takes 9 to 12 months, costs thousands of dollars. And on the other end, the lender will ultimately get back the property from the borrower and the title will be clean through the court process. What are for sale today? Two. We got 2 REOs for sale in Miami Beach today. The average asking price for these REOs, $1.5 million a door, $1.5 million a door. Price per square foot basis, $1,905 a square foot, $1,905 a square foot. Days on market, 61. Those pending REOs in Miami Beach, real estate owns in Miami Beach, 5. There's 5 that are pending at an average price, $318,360, $318,360. Average price per square foot, $471 a foot. And then what's the days on market? 66. So those pending sales, they were put up on the market. They're pending 66 days and counting. And then finally, transactions. We've had 20 REOs that traded in the first 9 months of the year in Miami Beach. Those 20 traded an average transaction price, $449,800 per door, $449,800 per door. Price per square foot basis, $423 a foot. And days on market count, 38 days. 38 days is how long it took for one of these REOs to trade. So you can see if a property is a bank-owned condo in Miami Beach and it's appropriately priced, it's going to move and it's going to move fast. 38 days is almost record speed, generally speaking, in the marketplace. Now, what is the difference in the spread between the average transaction price and the average asking price? Again, 20% is ideally what you look for to try to generate some activity. And an 8 to 12, maybe 8 to 15% when the deal trades. Right now in Miami Beach, the average asking price is $1.5 million for an REO. The average transaction price is $449,800. That represents a 244% difference. So the average asking price for some of these REOs is dramatic. And why is that? Well, it suggests that there are some high-end luxury condos or high-end condos that have now run into distress. They've been taken back by the banks, and now the banks are trying to unload them. So you want to get a sense of what's really going on in the market and ask yourself, why is the average asking price $1.5 million for an REO where the average transaction price is only $449,800? And why is that? That's because somebody with some expensive real estate, it was no longer able to pay for it, and therefore the bank took it back. Now, what's the difference on the price per square foot basis? $1,905 is the average ask. The average transaction price, $423 a foot for one of these REOs in Miami Beach. That's even higher, 350% difference, 350% difference. And then again, days on market, 61 days, the average number of days in the market versus 38 days is how long they traded that. Now, what is the sales pace for an REO in Miami Beach? Looking at about 2.2 REO units per month. How do I come up with that? I take the 20 units that traded as REOs, I divide it into 9, and that's where I come up with my 2.2. Now, if I take my 2.2 REO condos that trade per month, divided on what's on the market today, which is 2, I'm going to come up with just under 1 month of supply, which makes for a seller's market for distressed properties, and especially REO properties in Miami Beach. And again, no surprise there, simply because the bank owns the property and they can sell it how and when they want to. And anybody knows if you want to get a higher price, you limit the amount of supply that's out there. And that's what the banks are doing with the REOs that they've taken title to in Miami Beach. We'll take a short commercial break. On the side of the break, we're going to get into the rental market in Miami Beach.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to the Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. Again, if you are in the market for consulting, we provide those types of services related to condominiums, and or if you're looking for brokerage services, we have a broker business that works primarily on the buy side. Let's talk about the rental market in Miami Beach. Now, keep in mind the rental market in Miami Beach, the data is coming from the MLS, much like I said in the beginning of this particular podcast. And as a result of that, a commission has to be offered. Ideally or preferably, if it is a landlord that owns multiple properties, they're not going to want to pay the gross annual rent commission of 10%. So what does that mean? Place going for $1,000 a month times 12 months is going to be roughly $12,000. 10% of that would be paid out in commission. Problem is the rents are a lot higher than that. And someone who owns, or an entity that owns 1, 2, 3, 500 units, they're not going to want to pay that. Therefore, these landlords will typically not list their properties on the MLS. And as a result, the data that we're going to go to does not include these particular properties. How do you know a property or if a property is not in the MLS or is not included in our data? Pretty simple. Look and see if there's a big sign in front saying for rent and list a telephone number, or if there's somebody outside of it flipping a sign telling you to come on in, pull over as you're driving by, come on in and get some rental information. That tends to be an individual or an independent entity that owns a property. And many of them, again, because of commission, will not go ahead and list in the MLS. Now, who lists in the MLS? That's going to be individuals who tend to have 1, 2 units. Maybe they're out of country, out of town, they're somewhere else, and they're putting a realtor in charge of it to try to lease it out because they don't want to have to deal with the process of doing a lease. So MLS basically will be a realtor involved. Everything else does not include a realtor. So we're only going to look at what's involved with a realtor. Currently in Miami Beach, 1,255 places are for rent. Now, what is a place? How are we defining it? Basically, it's everything except a single family home. So that will be comprised of apartments, condos, efficiencies, multifamily, and townhouses. Everything but a single family home is what we're going to include in that. So 1,255 properties are available for rent in Miami Beach. The median asking price, $4,500 per month, $4,500 per month. Now, pay attention to what I just said. I said median. I didn't say average. All of the other segments that we've done in this podcast are all based on average. This one, we're doing median. Why are we doing median? Because median is a number right in the middle. And why don't we use average? Simple. Many of the properties that are for rent, they are for rent on a variety of different time element basis. So they could be for rent daily. They could be for that rent weekly. They could be monthly. They could be annually. They could be a whole variety of properties. So rather than go through and try to get clean data or clear data, which is going to actually compare apples to apples, we just go with the median number, make it simple, which, by the way, again, doesn't include all the rental information out there anyway. So therefore, what's the harm? Now, some of you might say, well, why do I really care about the rental information? I'm just looking to buy a condo. Well, it's important to know because ultimately things change, situations change. Maybe you're buying this second home, or maybe you're buying a primary residence. Maybe you get another job. Maybe there's health issues. Maybe there is a situation with the family status. All kinds of stuff happens. So it's important to kind of understand what is a rental market in case you as an individual investor or an owner ultimately need to try to rent it out and generate some income coming in. So again, median basis, $4,500 a month is what's being asked in Miami Beach. If you look at it on a price per square foot basis, $5.15 a square foot per month, $5.15 a square foot per month. Days on market median, 63 days. So those rentals have been sitting there 63 days and counting for rent. Now the places that are currently pending, so leases are in the process of being signed, 258 pendings, median price, $2,825. $2,825 is median price per door per month, price per square foot per month, $3.67 a square foot per month, $3.67 a square foot per month, and days on market, 20. Now, those properties that were leased in the first 9 months of the year, there were 2,942 leases at a median rental price, $2,800 a month, on a price per square foot basis, $3.72 a square foot per month, $3.72 a square foot per month. And it finally days on market, 21 days. Keep in mind, those properties appropriately priced, they rented in 21 days. They were listed, they went pending, and they were rented 21 days. The properties that are available for rent today, they've been there 63 days on the market. They're not pending and they're not completed. And so basically 3 times longer, if you will, it's taking to rent a property in Miami Beach now than it did in the first 9 months of the year. Now, what is the difference in terms of pricing on the price per unit basis monthly and the price per square foot basis monthly going on median? Well, you got about a 61% spread on the price per door of a rental in Miami Beach. Again, $4,500 a month is the median ask. The median transaction price first 9 months of the year, $2,800. That comes out to 61%. Price per square foot basis, $515 is the ask. They came in at $3.72 a square foot per month. That's about 38% difference. Now, in terms of pace, what is the rental pace, the velocity of these leases being signed? Coming into just about 327 rentals are being done per month. How do I come up with that? Well, I take the number of rentals that occurred the first 9 months of the year, 2942, I divide it by 9, and that's where I get 327 rental units per month being completed in Miami Beach. Now, if I take that number, that pace, I divide on what's currently available, which is 1255, I'm going to come up with about 3.8 months of supply, 3.8 months of supply. 3.8 months of supply would represent the fact that it is a landlord's market. Landlord's market, why? Because equilibrium is 6 months. Anything greater than 6 months, it would be a renter's market or a tenant's market. So this is a landlord's market for rentals. However, I will tell you, we are at the peak of the winter season. I'm looking at the data. I'm looking at the spreads between what's being asked and what the median transaction price is. And it is suggesting to me, as well as days on market. Remember, 63 days is what the property's on the market today for versus what they traded, what they went on their lease for in the first 9 months of the year, 21 days. All of this suggesting that the rental market in Miami Beach is starting to get soft. Why is that important? Well, as the rental market gets soft in Miami Beach, that starts to create and contribute to what we tend to see is a pullback or a reduction in pricing. So don't be surprised as we get started again this summer that you're going to start to see a pullback in pricing despite what's going on with the Federal Reserve in interest rates, as well as the stock market, as well as the overall economy. So from this perspective, I would suggest that it looks like the rental market is headed flat to probably going down as we go forward. And that will inevitably have an impact on condo prices in Miami Beach, as well as all of South Florida. So thank you for tuning into our podcast. This is our overview on what's going on in Miami Beach. We took a look at condos. We took a look at luxury condos. We took a look at the distressed condo market. We also took a look at the rental market in Miami Beach. We do these podcasts weekly to give you an idea of what's going on in those particular markets so you can understand what to look for, what to be on the lookout for, and ultimately get into the game if that's ultimately what you want to do. Now, if you have any questions for us, you have any comments, feel free to send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. If you want to watch this podcast, feel free to go ahead and go to any platform that provides for video podcast, such as Spotify. If you want to check us out on YouTube, our handle is Condo Vultures TV. If you want to see the charts, the data that we're referring to, simply go into the description of this particular podcast, and I will provide the links for you to, or if you want to look at most of the data, or if not all the data we're putting out, go to condovulturesrealty.com, condovulturesrealty.com. Look for market intelligence. It'll be right at the top of the page when you get on that website. And there you will get a breakdown of all of the different statistics we're pulling related to the condo market in the South Florida area. So I'm Peter Zalewski. Until next time, hope you take care of yourself, and we will hope to catch up with you very soon. Ciao, ciao.